Tappei has just released Arc 7 Chapter 94, and this video will be a summary of the chapter. I highly recommend you check out my Arc 7 Chapter 93 summary. Anyways, let's begin. A roar like distant thunder shook Beatrice's consciousness. The girl's mind filled with memories. She heard similar sounds over and over again, 400 years ago, in the age of the witches, where battles like this was common. Beatrice did not know the battlefield well. She often stayed indoors with her mother Echidna, a place far from human conflict. Beatrice hears the speech of the children, namely Schultz, who is worried, Utakata, and Lewis. They are located on a hill protecting the main camp. It overlooks a battlefield. However, that was a pretense, since they were obviously non-combatants. Idealistically, leaving them at Guaral would have been better, but as the people of Chaos Flame left with Yorna, no one would be fully defending Guaral. However, the guardians of the children also wanted them present. Priscilla wanted Schultz to witness her brilliance, and Utakata was a member of the Shudrakian tribe, and therefore she could not turn her back on the enemy. One child, however, was different, Lewis, who had no guardian. However, she could not be left unattended, as she was the Sin Archbishop of Gluttony. Before the battle started, Otto told Beatrice to keep an eye on Lewis, saying that they can't tell Emilia and Garfiel about this private discussion they're having. So with that, Beatrice is monitoring Lewis. Beatrice obviously couldn't do much and had no real role to fulfill due to having no mana. So maybe this was Otto's way of giving Beatrice a role to play so Beatrice wouldn't feel depressed. Beatrice sat down on a chair. There was no bed, no Petra's lap, no Emilia's lap to rest on. She opened her eyes and saw Schultz, Utakata, and Lewis, each of them having their own expressions. Beatrice looks at Lewis stomping the ground. It's obvious to just assume that she's a kid throwing a tantrum. However, Beatrice couldn't be too sure. As Emilia and the rest were fighting and trying to reunite with Subaru, Beatrice could at least watch over Lewis. Lewis pats Beatrice's head, and Beatrice asks what she's doing. Of course, Beatrice is wary since Gluttony has to make physical contact with the target before eating their name. However, Lewis made no indication of saying Beatrice's name. Utakata asks if Beatrice still dislikes Lewis, and she says yes. Of course, that's because of the harm that Lewis has done to her friends and Subaru. Of course, Gluttony was responsible for Rem's name being eaten, and Beatrice has seen how Subaru has suffered. Beatrice blames her indifference in the past. Maybe if she connected with Subaru earlier, she would have made a difference during the White Well fight and against the Sin Archbishop. Maybe Rem would have been saved. Schultz tells Beatrice to not talk like that, and Beatrice grabs Lewis's hand and gets her to sit in the chair next to her since Lewis was stumbling around. Dicker appears into the room and informs them that they may need to move their camp soon. Schultz is confused. Dicker Ottoman explains they will need to move to the Crystal Palace in the Imperial capital once they take control of the apexes. It's stated that maybe they should let Abel sit in the back. After all, he doesn't look like a competent fighter, but Dicker Ottoman says that they need to move or else he wouldn't be accepted as a leader. Of course, this is Wallachia, and the leader, the Emperor, needs to lead. So if Abel is the leader of the rebellion, he needs to take charge. Dicker is then asked if he will go into battle, and Dicker did say that he's leaving soon, since after all, they're at a numbers disadvantage. Beatrice then asks why he popped his head in. After all, they are not fighters. Dicker says that before going into a battle, with the Shudrakian tribe gone and the main camp being men, it's better to be cheered on by girls. Beatrice then asks why Dicker Ottoman fights, and Dicker says that it's because of his allegiance to the country and Emperor, and that regardless of whatever happens, he is a coward, so he isn't sure of how far he can go. With that, he asks Beatrice to bless him. Dicker Ottoman pulls out his sword and hands it to Beatrice, and Beatrice says that he lacks etiquette. However, Dicker says that as long as the feelings are there, it's fine. Beatrice takes the sword and Dicker kneels onto the ground, similar to Subaru when he was knighted by Emilia. Beatrice taps him on each shoulder with the sword and states that she hopes that he does well for his sake. Dicker thanks Beatrice and sheathes his sword. Utakata then takes out a knife and cuts her palm and presses the palm onto Dicker's armor, leaving a blood handprint. This is a blessing of the Shadrak, the blessing of the strong warriors of the tribe. Schultz cheers on Dicker Ottoman, and before Dicker leaves, Louis grabs his waist to cheer him on. Dicker then leaves. Beatrice sees Louis's actions as a positive one, and then she asks Louis whose side is she really on. Louis just stares at her. The scene changes. Madeline is hit by the twin ice sword attack and flies backwards from the attack. Emilia thanks the ice Subaru who blocked Madeline's attack. Emilia has ice soldier Subarus with her, 7 in total, similar to when she was fighting Volcanica. It looked like Emilia and the 7 ice Subarus were bullying a little girl. Madeline then swings her claws, shattering 2 Subaru soldiers, and Emilia attacks Madeline, but her dragon scales are tough. Emilia forms an ice hammer, then uses the Subaru soldiers as stepping stools to jump up and slams Madeline with the ice hammer, hitting her in the head. However, the ice hammer shattered and Madeline says to not mock the dragon, as Emilia is knocked away and the flying boomerang weapon comes spinning at her waist, trying to cleave her in half. However, Emilia is grabbed by an ice Subaru soldier who throws her away to another ice Subaru soldier, and then that ice Subaru soldier throws Emilia to the next one. Unfortunately, one of them was crushed by the spinning blade, and Emilia cried out for Subaru, even though it wasn't truly Subaru. Madeline tells Emilia to stop messing around and throws her weapon again. The ice Subarus then all line up and tank the attack, and they are all shattered. However, they slow down the momentum of the spinning blade. Emilia created some ice boots for her legs. She knew her legs were stronger than her arms, so she kicked Madeline's spinning blade into the air, then jumped up after it and caught it. Emilia spun around and threw it, but she messed up and threw it in the wrong direction, and it went off into the distance. Madeline got angry and tried chasing after it, but Emilia blocked her path with an ice wall. Emilia says that she won't let Madeline get the weapon, and if she wants to give up, that's fine. Madeline was now backed against the ice wall and confronted with Emilia and 7 more newly created ice soldier Subarus. Madeline asks what makes her think the dragon will stop. Madeline places her palm on the ice wall and the ice wall cracks. Emilia put a lot of effort into creating the wall and it was cracking. Madeline states that the healer, her, and the old man are getting in the dragon's way. There was a range of emotions in her voice: anger, sadness, and more. Emilia then asks Madeline what she fights for. Madeline looks at Emilia. Emilia senses the bloodlust, but she doesn't turn her head. She faces Madeline straight on. Emilia never asked this question before, since whenever they met, they just started fighting out of the blue. Madeline then says why should she tell Emilia, and then asks Emilia why she resists the dragon. Emilia points to her ice Subaru sculpture and says that she's here for her knight, and then again asks Madeline why she fights. Madeline says the name Balleroy. She says that she will find the man who killed her mate. That's what the dragon wills. With that, the ice wall starts cracking and shattering, and Madeline calls out for Mesioria. Emilia braces herself for the impact, but the impact never comes. Instead, a voice rings out. I, Mesioria, will obey the voice of my beloved child and become the wind. The cloud dragon descends from the skies at Madeline's call. And with that, the chapter ends. Okay, so firstly, I have no clue if I'm saying Mesioria's name right. I'm most likely saying it wrong. Maybe it's Mezero. I literally have no idea. Mesoria? I have no idea. But anyways, it looks like the divine dragon, well, not a divine dragon, but the cloud dragon has appeared. And apparently this is like a proper dragon. So we're talking like Volcanica sort of level. Like maybe not divine dragon, but like an actual real dragon. Like not a ground dragon, not a flying dragon, but like a dragon. So I'm not sure how Emilia's going to win. Like Julius needs to show up. Garfield needs to show up. I don't know if Volcanica will show up to back up Emilia. But I don't see Emilia beating the Cloud Dragon. So I have no clue what's going to happen. Maybe Garfield will come and two-shot this Cloud Dragon. Because Garfield did sort of have foreshadowing where he wanted to meet a dragon. Because he said that he missed meeting Volcanica because he didn't go to the Pleiades Watchtower. And now the Cloud Dragon's here and he's nearby. So he might show up. But yeah, I'm not too sure what's going to happen. And Beatrice talking to Lewis. Let's see where that goes.